Hello again, or hello if this is your first time here. I'm Wendy and this is Summer Bay Studio. Today I'm working on kind of an experimental project. If you've watched a few of my other videos, you'll remember that I've been kind of experimenting with acrylic paints. And I want to try just to see how they work, how it works for me, and work on some paintings. So today I am working on this one, which I completed. And I'm going to show you exactly what I did and how I did it. So stay with me till the end and you'll see all about it. Now to begin with this painting, I want to do an underpainting, and then I have kind of an idea of what my painting is going to look like. It's in my mind and it's fairly abstract. But I wanted to start with some blues, so I got out these ones, and I think I'm going to get a new page here on my palette, just because it's less confusing. I can see where my colors are and what I'm working on. So I want to do underpainting, and I'm going to use quite a bit of this paint at the moment because I'm kind of mixing it on the canvas as I go. I love this color. That's a place to start. I'm using a 2-inch brush, just a cheap paint brush, and I'm just dampening it, and I'm taking the excess water out of it with a rag. And then I'm just going to see what happens here. I'm not really used to using great big brushes because I kind of paint with watercolors. I tend to paint smaller, and have done smaller stuff for quite a long time, so just moving into colors like this or sizes like this is quite different. And for me, and maybe for you too, there's a learning curve involved. So this will just be the background color for now. It may change dramatically by the time I'm finished, but I'm just covering up the white at this stage, and then I will set it aside to dry because I want it to be thoroughly dry before I get started. I'd actually like to have a little bit more white in it, and this is just a craft paint in titanium white. This gives me some variation in color. I like the lighter colors a little bit better than the dark. But since I used that darker blue, I'll throw some of that in as well. And as you can see, if you're thinking, oh, I could never do that, obviously this requires no talent or anything. You just, pick up paint and put it on a canvas. I did prepare the canvas with gesso first. I did a couple of layers of gesso and let them dry. I'm going to take this right around the edge, which, believe it or not, is one of the trickier parts because then you got to stick your fingers in it. And I don't want these obvious brush strokes to show either. And if you're concerned about that you don't have the space to set up a studio and all that, I just would like to say I'm working on a tabletop here, and this is a 11 by 16 canvas that I just turned around and got paint on my arm. That's one thing about acrylics that I'm figuring out as I relearn or get back into acrylics, is that they're a lot messier than watercolors. If you're someone who likes things neat, you might like watercolor better. And frankly, I love watercolor. I've done it for years and years. It's always been my go-to and my first love kind of thing. But this year I decided to try new things of all kinds. And so this is what I'm working on here. Now then, there's quite a bit of paint in this brush, which I may like to use. But since I'm not using the brush right now anymore, I'm going to throw it in the water and go with a smaller one, because like I said, I don't want these big brush strokes so much. I like this a lot better. And notice how it brings up some of the other colors underneath. In fact, I actually kind of like a rounder tip than this one, but I love this mottled look. So I'm basically going over where I painted, and just while the paint is still damp, making sure there's no white showing. Not that that can't be fixed later if it does, but just adding some more texture. And the fact that the paint is a little bit drying actually helps. I didn't put any paint in this brush at all. All I did was just make sure it was slightly damp. These are some of my favorite colors. And you'll notice here too, I moved some of the wetter paint on the top, and it reveals some things underneath, which is the wonderful thing about layers of color. There, I think I will leave that now as it is. And when it's dry, I'll come back and we can work on it some more. Now my background is nice and dry, and I'm going to just get started with some design. And I have, like I said, an idea in my mind, and I'm not going to draw it first. I'm just gonna work it. I have green here, this nice bright green, and a little bit of the darker green. What I want is just some leaf shapes, which may or may not be larger. My paint is all dry now. Everything is like super dry. I actually left it overnight, and I covered up my palette here. Hopefully it's going to still have some wet paint on it, but what I think is cool when I do this is that you peel off the plastic and it picks up whatever is really stuck to it. It kind of makes room for more paint, so I don't need this. It's almost like a little work of art on its own. So I'm going to finish this painting and probably not talk very much. So don't be surprised if you hear me not say anything. Well, I think I'm finished. Now what I do is I set it up on my piano and I look at it for several days and see what it needs and add little bits of this and that if it needs anything, and if it doesn't, then I'm happy. I hope you enjoyed this. It's kind of fun to just experiment and see what happens and just see what turns up. Please take a moment and subscribe to my channel if you like this video and my others, and click the little bell so you can be notified when I have a new video, which I do twice a week. And I'll see you next time.